Hi, welcome to my channel. In this video, you're going to learn about composition of functions. So I have here two functions here. F of x is equal to 2x plus 3 and g of x is equal to x squared minus 1. Now, when we say composition of functions, look at this one. I have here two functions, f of g of x. That's how you're going to read this. Or you can read as f composed of g of x, which is the same as way of writing is f of g of x. Now, in f of x is equal to 2x, x here is what we call the input, right? That's the input. Here, this is the input. Now, in the composition of function, the input here is the g of x. This is the input. So here, it means that this is the outside function and this is the inside function, g of x, which is closer to x. So that would be the input. Okay, so now, which means that we're going to evaluate the function f, wherein our input is g of x. Okay, so let's evaluate f of g of x. By the way, don't be confused with this one. This is f times g of x, this multiplication. So take note, open circle, this one is closed circle. So this is f times g, while this one is f composed of g or f of g. Okay, so let's have number one. How we're going to evaluate? So we have f of g of x, which is equal to f, and what is now the input? G of x. What is our g of x? The g of x is x squared minus 1. Okay, so that's the input. Now, we are going to find f of x squared minus 1. Okay, so find f of x squared minus 1. Sorry. Okay, now, what is now f of x? The f of x is 2x plus 3. So that is 2x plus 3. Now, instead of writing x, we're going to replace that with x squared minus 1 because this is now the input. Okay, the g of x is the input. So we have now f of x squared minus 1 is equal to 2 times. Instead of x, we are going to write x squared minus 1. Then plus 3. And this is equal to distributive property, that is 2x squared. 2 times negative 1, that is negative 2 plus 3. So this is 2x squared plus 1. The final answer. And this is now the f of g of x. Okay? Next. This one is, we're going to use the same given, but this time we're going to find the g of x, g of f of x. Sorry. Now, this would be equal to what? The outside function is g, and the inside function is f of x. Okay, it means that this time, the input is f of x. Okay, so now we have g, and what is f of x? F of x is equal to 2x plus 3. So it means now that we're going to evaluate g of x, wherein the input now is 2x plus 3. And what is our g of x? That is x squared minus 1. So now, instead of writing x, we're going to substitute that with 2x plus 3. So we have 2x plus 3 squared, because this is squared, then minus 1. Okay? Now, you can use FOIL method here. This is 2x. Sorry. Okay, so we have 2x plus 3 times 2x plus 3 because this is squared and minus 1. So that is 4x squared plus 6x plus 6x. 3 times 3 plus 9 minus 1. Okay, let's combine this one. So we have now 4x squared plus 12x plus 8. And this is now the g of f of x equal to the final answer. Okay? So take note, whatever closer to the x, this one, that would be the input. Okay? Then use that to evaluate the outside function, which is g. Okay, now, look at this one. In number 3, instead of x, we have the value 3. Okay, so we have now here, this is equal to what? We can write this as f. The outside function is f. The inside function is g of 3. But this time, we have the value. It's not x. We have 3. Which means that we need to evaluate what is g of 3. So first, evaluate g of 3. And what is g of x? That is x squared minus 1. So instead now of writing x, you can substitute 3. So g of 3 is equal to 3 squared minus 1. And 3 squared is 9 minus 1, that is equal to 8. This is g of 3, which means that f, g of 3, we can substitute the value, which is 8. So we have f of 8. Okay, now we can evaluate now f of 8. And that is equal to, of course, that is f of 8 means we're going to use the f of x, which is 2x plus 3. So now we have, instead of x, you can now write, instead of x, you write 8 plus 3. And 2 times 8, this is 16, plus 3 is equal to 19. This is the final answer. This is now f of g of 3 is equal to 19. Okay, next, look at this one. Number 4, we have g of f of negative 2. Okay, so we have g of f of negative 2. The input now is f of negative 2. So we have now g, that's the outside, and then f of negative 2. Okay, so now what are we going to do is evaluate f of negative 2. Okay, so we're going to evaluate that first. So we're going to use, of course, f of x. So instead of f of x, you write f of negative 2. That is equal to 2x plus 3. So 2 times negative 2 plus 3, this is equal to negative 4 plus 3, that is equal to negative 1. So this is f of negative 2, this one. Which means that we have g, and then the input is f of negative 2, and that is equal to negative 1. So therefore, we have f of negative 1. Now, that f of negative 1, g of negative 1, that is the value of f of negative 2 is equal to negative 1. Now, we're going to evaluate g of negative 1. So the function now is the g of x squared minus 1, and then g of negative 1 is equal to, this is negative 1 squared minus 1. Negative 1 squared, that is 1, minus 1, that is equal to 0. Okay, which means now that g of f of negative 2, g of f of negative 2 is equal to 0. The final answer. That's how you're going to evaluate functions or composition of functions. Now, in my next video, I'm going to discuss about inverse functions, so you can watch it here. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share my videos. Bye! See you in the next one.